she's new.
There's this guy in my calculus class. I could talk to him for you.
And on April 30th,
We're gonna do something.
she's not going to take it anymore.
Love ya.
Mean Girls. Rated PG-13. They're coming April 30th.
The real first big film for Lindsay Lohan after Freaky Friday. Avoid Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, because this is the movie where she really gets to show what she can do. And in the film, she plays a native teenager who transfers to an American high school after years of homeschooling in Africa. And she quickly befriends two outcasts played by Lizzie Kaplan and Daniel Franzese. And with the trio forming a plan to exact revenge on Regina George, played by Rachel McAdams, the leader of an envied clique known as the Plastics, which also includes Amanda Seyfried and Lacey Chabert. And the cast of this movie is just expansive, because you got Tina Fey, who also wrote the script for this, Tim Meadows, Anna Gasteyer, Amy Poehler, Neil Flynn from Scrubs. Just a terrific cast overall, and this was based off of a book called Queen Bees and Wannabes. And needless to say, the movie is about as great of a comedy as you can expect it to be. This is, for the 2000s, what Clueless was for the 90s, what Fast Times at Ridgemont High was for the 80s. You know, this is the high school comedy that really cemented the decade as a whole and went on to become the movie that we all remember many decades later. I mean, this thing has gone on to become a cultural phenomenon, and it's not hard to see why. It's a really funny movie. It showcases a lot of young talent in here. Lindsay Lohan coming off of Freaky Friday, showing that, hey, this girl's got a great future, and so does everybody else in the cast. I mean, the Plastics are fun to watch. They're, you know, I saw this when I was 15, and yeah, they looked hot to me. I mean, they still do, honestly. They've aged very well. Of course, Rachel McAdams, she's gone on to become an Oscar-nominated actress. Amanda Seyfried's been in a lot of really good stuff. Lacey Chabert, who had already pretty much had made her name with stuff like Party of Five and The Wild Thornberrys. I mean, this was a chance to show what she can do, and everybody in here is really, really good. I mean, the film really is a well-made film. A lot of great funny stuff. I mean, this is produced by Lorne Michaels, and that's why there's a lot of SNL talent in here. The film is just incredibly fun to watch. Mark Waters, who directed this, does a very good job of handling this, and it's also very topical, too. I mean, a lot of this stuff you can take today, in today's world, and still work it around here. You got the whole thing about, you know, the cliques in high school, school bullying, the damaging effect they can have on teenagers. I mean, the whole climax of the movie is how the school just erupts into chaos as soon as this journal that they've been talking about gets revealed, and the chaos and hilarity ensues from that as well. It's a movie that is really something that can still hold up even by today's standards, and it just pains me to think that the recent remake we had was so bad. I mean, it's not really it's a remake, but it's mostly based off of the stage musical, but it's a remake. I mean, it's literally the same movie, except the cast is younger, and it's basically adding in musical elements from the musical numbers to make you feel like it's something completely different, when it really is not. It really is not the same. It really is nowhere near as good as this original movie is, and I still can't believe that I'm one of the few people that thinks it's one of the worst movies of the year, because, come on. Which movie would you rather have? Would you rather have the remake, or would you rather have the much funnier original version? I take the original version any day of the week. And yeah, the remake has some good casting in there in general, but it's just the same movie, except put in musical numbers. And, like, they only did it because Mean Girls has become a cultural phenomenon, and you put musical numbers in there, and you put it out in a time when there's no other movies coming out because nobody's putting out any big blockbusters in January. Of course it's going to make the money that it made. Of course it's going to be the big hit it was. I just didn't see it. I didn't like the recent one that just came out, the 2024 one, but it doesn't take away from my love of the original Mean Girls. It's a really funny movie, really smart, funny stuff. I mean, this is the movie that also shows how good of a writer Tina Fey is, because she later go on to do 30 Rock. She's still one of the best people to come out of Saturday Night Live. I mean, most of the stuff she's done has been really good. I've never seen her in anything really that bad before, and this was the movie that kind of branched her out as well. I mean, this is just a fantastic film. Needless to say, it's definitely one of the best movies of the year, easily, and one of the great high school teen classics of all time. I can't recommend this one enough. Mean Girls, classic movie, need I sing?
Once upon a time, there was a handsome prince who set out on a quest to rescue a fair princess. For it was his destiny to climb to the highest room of the tallest tower, pull back the gossamer curtains to find her...
What? Princess
Fiona?
She's on her honeymoon.
With who?
They're off.
Come on, Shrek, we don't want to hit traffic.
On a new journey.
Wow.
To a distant land.
Yeah, you working that hat.
Where Princess Fiona
Well, this is it.
This is it.
can show off her new husband.
Our daughter has married a monster. An ogre from a swamp.
Well, I suppose that will be a fine place to raise the children.
It's a bit early to be thinking about that, isn't it?
Indeed, I just started eating.
Harold. Shrek.
Fiona, Donkey.
It's so nice to have the family together for dinner.
DreamWorks Pictures presents
Excuse me, I'm looking for the ugly stepsister.
Old Friends
Shrek and Donkey on another whirlwind adventure.
and a few surprises.
Pray for mercy from Puss in Boots. Fear me if you dare.
I'm sorry, the position of annoying talking animal has already been taken.
They're coming soon to a theater near you.
This is taking forever.
Well, find a way to entertain yourself.
So as the trailer kind of gives you an indication, Shrek 2 takes place following the events of the first film, where Shrek and Donkey meet Fiona's parents, and the zealous fairy godmother, who wants Fiona to marry her son Prince Charming, plots to destroy Shrek and Fiona's marriage. Shrek and Donkey team up with a sword-wielding cat named Puss in Boots to foil her plans. And a bigger cast this time around. The new characters voiced by Julie Andrews, John Cleese as Fiona's parents, Jennifer Saunders as the fairy godmother, Rupert Everett as Prince Charming, and of course Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots, who easily went on to become the most popular character from this, as he's got his own series of spin-off films because of his first appearance in this particular film. And Shrek 2, I mean, the original Shrek was a classic movie, but Shrek 2 really ups the ante and really ups the game on what they're able to do. I mean, it's been a couple of years since they made the first Shrek movie, and clearly the CG animation was pretty good in the first movie, but it really gets an uplift in the second film in general. Not only that, the comedy is really good too. There are still some of the most memorable, funny moments in the entire Shrek series, all in this movie. I mean, this is a movie that is clearly made for kids, but at the same time, it knows that the adults can have a good time with it as well, and they really up the ante on what the kids can do, what both kids and adults can really find funny. And there's a lot here where the humor is just so all over the place and universal, and it's just a really great film. The music is very good too. The soundtrack for this is an amazing soundtrack. I mean, the animation's great, the music is great, the writing is great, the characters are great. There really is not much more I can add to this movie. I mean, this is a film where you could tell they really put a lot of money into this to say that we want to make a movie that's even better than the original film, and sure enough, it did just that and then some. Not just from a creative standpoint, but this film went on to break several records. It did become the highest-grossing animated film of the year. It became the second largest three-day opening weekend behind Spider-Man, with over $100 million. At the time, it was the largest overall for an animated film at the time of its release. The fifth highest-grossing film of all time at the time of its release. It's DreamWorks Animation's highest-grossing film to this date. The highest-grossing film DreamWorks has ever made. It held the title for the highest-grossing animated film until Toy Story 3 came out in 2010. Received 2 Academy Award nominations. It didn't win the Oscars this time around, just like the first film did for Best Animated Feature. But of course, it led to the spin-offs, led to 2 more sequels. I'm really just killing time here because honestly, there's really not much more I can add to this, and hasn't already been said already. It's just a great, great movie. Really hilarious stuff. Great animation. Great characters. It's a freaking masterpiece, man. It's definitely one of the best animated movies ever made. One of the best sequels ever made. Shrek 2, man. Shrek freaking 2. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and see it, because you're missing out on one of the best movies ever made. Easily one of the best movies ever made.
Matt Damon is Jason Bourne. The Bourne Supremacy.
Camera landing.
This is Jason Bourne.
Bourne?
What did I say? If I even feel somebody behind me, I will bring this fight to your doorstep.
Trace it.
Where is he? Right next to you.
It's such a badass move, man. That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, where they're all just like, you know, where's the call coming from? Where is he? And Jason Bourne's just like, right next to you. And like, just such a badass move, man. And fitting, because this is a badass movie. I mean, this is this is the continuation from the first film, The Bourne Identity. And this film, even though it takes its name from the second Bourne novel, it's a completely different plot altogether, where you have Jason Bourne, a former CIA assassin suffering from psychogenetic amnesia. Bourne is once again played by Matt Damon, of course. The film focuses... I don't know what's wrong with me right now. The film focuses on his attempt to learn more of his past, as he is once more enveloped in a conspiracy involving the CIA and Operation Treadstone. This one includes the Brian Cox's Ward Abbott and the introduction of Joan Allen as Pamela Landy. Carl Urban is also in this movie as well, and Julia Stiles is also back as Nikki Parsons, and Franca Potente from the last movie is back in here, although I'll just tell you right now, if you watch the full trailer for this, they make you think this seems like that she's going to be there throughout the course of the movie. She's not. She's usually she's gone within like the first 20 minutes, and I don't know. Like, I don't know if it was, I don't know. To me personally, I didn't think that was a smart move to put that in the trailer, make it seem like she's going to be with him this time around, and really she's not. But then again, this is Paul Greengrass. When Paul Greengrass entered the Bourne franchise with this film, he took this series to another level. People relatively didn't know who Paul Greengrass was, unless you saw Bloody Sunday before this, but this was the movie that really introduced him to the world as an action director. And you know, for a guy that had directed an independent movie around that time, and him tackling a sequel to one of the many attempts to create the next great spy thriller after in that same time we had Triple X and the last Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie, and this was the one that stuck by the most. And then here's the sequel, where you get this unknown director at the time, and for the most part an unknown director, and he manages to take the series to another level. I mean, this movie is absolutely amazing. They do an excellent job of continuing the story of Jason Bourne, creating a lot of new twists and turns for the series, a lot of great tension-filled scenes like that scene I just mentioned before. I mean, there are so many moments in this movie that take you completely by surprise, that you do not see it coming until it happens. Right from the beginning of the film, you're so hooked in, because it takes you by surprise every few minutes by the decisions the film makes, and it just pulls all the stops out any way it can. The action sequences are really fantastic in this one. This is the one where they really do come off strong in this movie. You bring in, Greengrass's unique camera style that which to be seen later on in his movies. It works incredibly well here. The car chase at the end of the movie is really incredible. It's one of the best action sequences in recent memory. I mean, it's a great, great film in general. It's a great movie that has a very impressive sequel in a year where we had, Shrek 2, Spider-Man 2, and now this movie. When they brought in Paul Greengrass to really bring the series to the next level, they really changed the Bourne franchise around for the better, making the movies more tension-filled with every passing film, more action-packed, more story-driven, and all led by this great leading performance by Matt Damon as Jason Bourne. And for the most part, the series continued on that track, even with the next movie, The Bourne Ultimatum. Kind of slipped off a bit once they brought in Jeremy Renner for the spin-off, sort of a spin-off slash prequel slash sequel, The Bourne Legacy. Either way, it was a terrible movie to begin with. That's easily the worst one of the series. And then they brought it back up with Jason Bourne at the end. And reportedly they're working on another one too, so with Paul Greengrass coming back as well as Matt Damon. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that one. But The Bourne Supremacy really is a pretty damn good movie in a year where we've had so many good sequels. This is one that usually gets pushed off to the side with stuff like Shrek and Shrek 2 and Spider-Man 2, but this definitely should be up there with one of the best sequels from that year easily. It's a great, great film. I mean, honestly, I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out The Bourne Supremacy, because you will not be disappointed by that.
A little adventure. Do your worst, Mr. Hughes.
We could build a plane with the ability to fly into the substratosphere.
You're losing $25,000 a day doing this. You could lose everything.
Well, I won't. What does controlling interest in TWA cost me?
You want to buy the airline?
Why should I let someone else have all the fun?
How have you mad, man? I have heard some disquieting rumors about Mr. Hughes. I'd like to know everything there is to know about Mr. Hughes.
See, I want to learn what pleases you.
What's this?
It's a present.
You can buy me dinner. How about that?
My investigators have turned up a lot of dirt.
We are in a street fight. I'm not going to lose. He owns Pan Am. He owns Congress. But he does not own the sky. She'll go faster.
A movie about an airplane that happened on this weekend that didn't suck. Of course, this is the story of Howard Hughes, based off the book of the same name that depicts the life of him, who was an aviation pioneer and the director of the film Hell's Angels, and portrays his life from 1927 to 1947, during which time Hughes became a successful film producer and aviation magnate who simultaneously grows more unstable due to severe obsessive-compulsive disorder. You got a cast that also includes Cate Blanchett, Kate Beckinsale, Ian Holm, John C. Reilly, Alec Baldwin, Jude Law, Gwen Stefani, Kelly Garner, Willem Dafoe, Alan Alda, Edward Herrmann. And it's one of Martin Scorsese's best movies. It's a movie that really elevates Leonardo DiCaprio's star power to another level. He just plays this role so well, and the film is just really good. It's a really engaging period piece movie. It's a really engaging biopic about the life of Howard Hughes. Finally, we get a good Howard Hughes movie after so many movies in the past that tried to do something similar to this and just kind of failed miserably at it. But this is a movie that does it very well because you got a good director in Martin Scorsese, you got a great writer in John Logan, and a great actor in Leonardo DiCaprio, who unfortunately didn't win the Oscar for Best Actor, even though he probably should have, but he did not. But then again, Jamie Foxx took that Oscar, and I think that's a better performance. But DiCaprio definitely deserved to be in that conversation. The film did win 5 Oscars, though. It was nominated for 11, including Best Picture and Best Director. It won for Cate Blanchett for Best Supporting Actress, and I think the other ones for visual effects and sound editing, I think. Let me see. Best film editing, okay. Yeah, I was close. Best cinematography, best film editing, best costume design, best art direction. So I was close on at least one of them. One's better than get one right is better than getting none. Apparently, I'm going to say that. But yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio works very well in this role, and it shows how great of an actor he really was. And you know, he was elevating his status as stepping away from being that pretty boy from Titanic and proving that, hey, the guy's got a lot of acting chops and he makes it work here. You know, Cate Blanchett's very good in the movie too. Kate Beckinsale, you know, we've kind of smacked her around here a couple times with some of the bad movies she's been in. But you know, this is a movie where she actually does show she's got some acting chops as well. It's a film that just is very entertaining, very visually pleasing to look at. It's a great period piece, a great story about Howard Hughes. Not much more to say about it, man. It's a really good movie that definitely deserves to be checked out.
Just because you're going blind.
Ray Charles turned despair into hope.
You're gonna have to make it work, Ray.
I'm gonna make it do what it do, baby. And darkness into light.
I hear like you see, like that hummingbird outside the window.
I can't hear her.
You have to listen.
The whole Jamie Foxx.
Just an old sweet song.
Ray, rated PG-13, coming to DVD.
So as you can tell, the film is about the life of Ray Charles through the course of 30 years, in which it begins with Ray finding out that he's going blind to the point, and then eventually leading into the point where he became one of the most beloved musicians of all time. And this is directed by Taylor Hackford, and of course features Jamie Foxx giving a career-defining performance that literally was a game-changer for him, because not only was this a movie that showed how good his dramatic role aspects could really be, but he was well rewarded for it with an Academy Award the following year, one of 2 Oscar nominations he had after a great year in 2004 with this and Collateral. But this is really one of the best biopics out there, honestly, and I figured it out why just today, just in the last couple minutes when I'm getting ready for this review. But I'll delve into that in just a second here. But the movie works because it's a really good story to tell. Nothing about this movie feels like it's forced, or most of the problems with most musical biopics nowadays, it doesn't feel like it's a movie that's specifically going for a mainstream audience. It's trying to tell a story. It's trying to tell the cold, hard reality of what Ray Charles had to go through throughout the course of his life. And it helped that Ray Charles was there in the production of during the production of the movie. They was actually going to attend the screening of the completed film, but unfortunately, he died of liver disease just a few months before the film premiered, and so the film essentially became a tribute not just to him in real life, but also to his legacy after his passing that summer. But the movie is great. It's got this great visual style to it. It's a great story to tell. You know, Jamie Foxx kills it as Ray Charles. He's absolutely pitch perfect in the role. A great supporting cast. It also includes Kerry Washington, Regina King, Harry Lennox, Terrence Howard, Richard Schiff, Lawrence Tate. Just a terrific cast. Clifton Powell. A good director, Taylor Hackford, who's directed such great movies as An Officer and a Gentleman. But the reason why this movie works, and I really figured it out now, not just because the movie is great overall, but this was actually an independently produced film. I had no idea that this thing was an independently produced movie, and I thought it was strictly from Universal in general, but no, they didn't come into the production until the movie had been well completed, so there was no studio interference while making the movie. They weren't clearly making the film so it can appeal to a mainstream audience or just do a generic-ass biopic storyline that we've seen done to death. No, this movie feels authentic because there's no studio telling them what you should do with the storyline here. They just let the story play as it is, and essentially Universal picked it up because of all things. One of his executives actually used to hitchhike to a Ray Charles concerts, and that's the reason why, you know, they essentially picked the movie up because of that, and the gamble paid off big time. It was a massive hit. It was a critical hit. It was a big Oscar winner, and like I said, it helped push Jamie Foxx to that next level of his career, where he wasn't just the comedic actor anymore. He could be a very serious, dramatic actor, and a performance like this really shows what his true potential can really be. It's a great movie, man. It's just an incredible film. Not much more I can really say about the film that has already been said already. The movie just works. It's one of the best biopics ever. If you have not seen Ray, do yourself a favor and check this movie out, because it is definitely well worth the watch. Just for the performance alone, but the movie itself is just absolutely pitch perfect. It's one of the best movies of the year. Can't recommend this one enough. Definitely check out Ray. So
I got 5 stops to make. Won't you hang with me? I don't know. Yeah, you do. Yes. Yes.
I thought you were a cool guy. I'm a cool guy.
Oh, no! Threw a man out of the window. I didn't throw him. He fell. He's coming to kill you. I'm not playing. Slow down. Collateral. Still reading?
Rated R. Starts Friday, August 6th.
what can I say about this movie, man? This is just such a great, great film. You have Jamie Foxx, who plays a Los Angeles cab driver who has this customer named Vincent, played by Tom Cruise. He's offering a high fare for driving to 5 different locations, and Max agrees, but he soon finds himself taken hostage by Vincent, who turns out to be a hitman on a contract killing spree. And, you know, one of the biggest selling points right off the bat is seeing Tom Cruise in a radically different role than we're used to seeing him. And in most movies, we see him playing the hero, but here he's playing a real bad guy in this, and he just plays it so well to the T. It's amazing he didn't get any awards consideration, because he was absolutely incredible in this movie. Jamie Foxx, I mean, this was the first movie from him where he kind of stepped out of the comedy territory and headed into more dramatic territory that he had very rarely had gone into. I think the last one he did was Any Given Sunday, but he might have been an Ali too. I can't remember for certain. I think he was an Ali as well, but this was a big year for him because it radically changed his career around, because after this, of course, he would do Ray, and he coincidentally got nominated for 2 Oscars for acting this year, including Best Actor for Ray, which he won, and Best Supporting Actor for this movie. And it's not hard to see why, man. He is fantastic in the movie. It's interesting because this movie had so many different people that could have made this movie so interesting in many different ways, shape, or form. Frank Darabont was attached at one point. They had Mimi Leader, who did Deep Impact. Janusz Kaczynski, who did the cinematography for a lot of Steven Spielberg movies, including Schindler's List. Fernando Morales, who did City of God. And then they had people like Russell Crowe and Adam Sandler at one point attached to star in it. And keep in mind, this is back when Adam Sandler was still a comedy draw and very rarely made dramas and would have a drama in this year. So this would have been really, really different if he had taken this and that film ended up happening. But the film we get is a fantastic film. It's also the first film for Michael Mann, who used this high-definition camera called a Viper film stream, which he would use later on in his next movie, Miami Vice. And some might say it doesn't look that great, but I think it looks pretty good for what it's trying to do. I mean, it feels like a real scenario here, like you're there when it actually happens. It doesn't feel like a normal movie where it feels like it's a regular cinematography in general. Like, it does feel like you're watching somebody filming this off of their phone, like what I'm doing right now. It has that type of a feel to it, but the tension is very good. You got a great cast. It also includes Mark Ruffalo, Peter Berg, Javier Bardem, Bruce McGill, Jada Pinkett Smith, who's fantastic in the movie. There's a great moment towards the end of the movie when the third act begins where, like, Jamie Foxx is trying to warn her that Vincent is coming for her. It's a very tension-filled moment, and Tom Cruise, like I said, is absolutely terrifying in this movie. I mean, it's a great role that shows that he has a lot of range as an actor. I mean, this was a guy that was still at the top of his game, but like I said, he was mostly known for being a hero in a lot of these movies, but it's interesting to see him take on a role where he's playing the bad guy, and it's very well done. It's very tension-filled. It has a lot of great action sequences. The thrills are there. The tension is there. I mean, there's really not much more I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said already. It's a fantastic film. Easily one of the year's best movies. Easily one of Michael Mann's best movies. And he really needed it after... He had a couple of movies that weren't really as successful. Ali was a good movie, but it definitely had a lot of notable flaws to it. But Insider wasn't that great. But Heat, I think, was still his masterpiece. And this is definitely a close second for his best film overall. It's a terrific film. I can't recommend it enough. If you have not seen Collateral, get off your ass and go see Collateral, because it's a film that definitely deserves your full attentions, and it's definitely worth it.
No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try,
Spider-Man killed my father. Ain't this guy dead?
It's the ones I love who will always be the ones who pay.
I can't keep thinking about you. I'm getting married.
I want a life of my own. I'm Spider-Man. No more.
Ladies and gentlemen, today you will witness the birth of a new energy source.
I like seeing it at night, Peter. You take Spider-Man's pictures. Where is he?
I believe there's a hero in all of us. Even though sometimes we have to give up the thing we want the most.
Behind the mask.
So how many of you were like you when you saw that trailer for the first time and you saw that scene where Harry pulls off the mask? How many of you thought that that was not going to be Peter Parker underneath it? You thought maybe that Peter was going to put like a dead body there or something? Maybe for a cruel, dark joke, put the dead body of his father there. But I mean, it is a Sam Raimi movie. It wouldn't be that surprising if he went for a little bit of some dark comedy there. But no, of course, that was actually him in the actual movie. So it's kind of a spoiler for the film itself. But because this movie is so good, it really takes away from the fact that it really does become because of an issue that's not as important as the movie itself. Because the movie Spider-Man 2 is pretty damn good. I mean, at this point, this was Marvel at their absolute best, and it's really not that hard to see why. You have a story that's set 2 years after the events of Spider-Man, where Peter Parker has struggled to manage both his personal life and his duties as Spider-Man, And he's introduced to Dr. Otto Octavius, played by Alfred Molina, who takes a turn for the diabolical following a failed experiment with the Spike's death. Using his mechanical tentacles, Octavius is dubbed Dr. Octopus and threatens to endanger the lives of New York City's residents. And Spider-Man must stop him from annihilating the city, but also going through these different situations, dealing with Harry, of course, dealing with Mary Jane, who's getting married to this guy who it feels like they were trying to set up as Venom, but it never really went anywhere. But a lot of the majority of the plot elements are taken from the Spider-Man story arc, Spider-Man No More, which was based off of a 1967 Amazing Spider-Man story. And much like with Blade 2 and X-Men 2, all the flaws in Spider-Man 2 are not only fixed in here, but they boost the movie to make it, at that point, Marvel's strongest sequel they had done at one of the best superhero movies ever made. I mean, keep in mind, this was just a couple of years before the MCU really took off and showed what Marvel can really do with a major with a good comic adaptation. I mean, this was at a good point in time to be at. It benefits from having a more prominent direction from Sam Raimi, who's been a longtime Spider-Man fan and gets the chance to show he wants to make the Spider-Man movie he wanted to see, and it definitely shows on here. Which makes no sense why they decided to screw him over with the third film, but we'll get to that one eventually. But great cast again. You know, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, Kirsten Dunst, Mary Jane Watson, James Franco, newcomers Alfred Molina is very good as Doc Octopus. We get a lot of character development out of all these characters, and with a sequel, we need to get further development on those characters so we can get a better purpose of liking them and seeing their story continue from the previous film. Everything is much bigger in this film, but what a good sequel should do, like a story, the plot that's much bigger, and it senses that there's a lot at stake this time around that there was in the first movie. We can go along with it and hope the hero comes out as the victor. The third act, I think, is great. It's one of the strongest third acts I've ever seen for a movie, where there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of surprises, there's a sense of danger in all aspects, and also side to people that you never expect to see, especially during the subway scene where everybody sees Peter as who he is, and they could have easily just said, "Hey, this is Spider-Man, right? This kid is Spider-Man," but no, they're just like, you get hit, but no, they're protective of him, and it's very refreshing too, because New Yorkers always get a bad rap in general. Maybe they do. I've never been to New York. I've wanted to visit New York before in my life. I've wanted to visit New York before, but I've never gotten a chance to. But this movie at least tries to show that, hey, not everybody in New York is a complete asshole. Whether that's real life is hard to tell, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to say here. Quite frankly, Spider-Man 2 does give you everything you want in the sequel and then some. A bigger story, bigger character development, a story that we could stick and get behind. It was at that point where Marvel was really at the peak of what they could do as a studio in general, with these studios behind them, and it made for one of the best superhero movies ever made. And I think it really opened the door for a lot of people for what comic book movies can really be, because the following year, Christopher Nolan would take what Spider-Man 2 did and take it to the next level with Batman, but we're about a year away from that, of course. But Spider-Man 2 is a great movie. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out.
The following is a paid advertisement from Lacuna Incorporated. The views expressed do not reflect the opinions of the management of this theater.
Hello, I'm Howard Mirziak, founder and president of Lacuna Incorporated. Why remember a destructive love affair? Here at Lacuna, we have perfected a safe, effective technique for the focused erasure of troubling memories. In a matter of hours, our patented non-surgical procedure will rid you of painful memories and allow you a new and lasting peace of mind you'd never imagined possible.
This is a hoax, right? I assure you no. Is there any risk of brain damage?
It's on a par with a night of heavy drinking. Nothing you'll miss.
That's right, Universal. Give me the copyright claim now, because I know you're going to as soon as I put that up there. Not that it's going to get copyright. It's probably going to get copyright claim anyway for some other stupid reason. Just as long as I don't have to like mute the music or anything, which I might just end up doing afterwards. But I just had to show that trailer. That's a great trailer. You have the music of ELO, with Mr. Blue Sky, like just a phenomenal trailer, and it gives you a great idea of what this movie is. This is easily the best movie released this weekend, and it follows two individuals, played by Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, who undergo a memory erasure procedure to forget each other after the dissolution of their romantic relationship. And it uses elements of psychological drama, science fiction, and a non-linear narrative to explore the nature of memory and love. So it's kind of like the funny version of Total Recall, except not really funny, but it's less action. I should say less action-packed than Total Recall, but this is a classic movie. This is an amazing, amazing film. For Jim Carrey, I mean, this was a movie that really showed his range as an actor. I mean, he had tried his hand at dramatic roles beforehand with The Truman Show and The Majestic, and this was the one that really, I think, is his best overall dramatic performance. This is a great movie with him in it. Him and Kate Winslet work off each other so well. A phenomenal cast. Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, Tom Wilkinson. A visual style that is so impressive to look at. Written by Charlie Kaufman, directed by Michel Gondry. Just everything about this movie just works so well. It's a great, great movie. It's easily one of the best movies of the decade, hands down. It's a movie that should have gotten a lot more attention than it deserved. I mean, Jim Carrey, the fact that for the second time in a great movie like this, he gets snubbed for an Academy Award. Like, come on, man. This is a guy that definitely deserved to be nominated up there, and just like they don't want to nominate him because he's a funny guy, and clearly funny people can't be Academy Award-winning actors. Jamie Foxx, Jamie Foxx, and hell, Robert Downey Jr. is a funny guy too, but I don't know. This is one of those. It's one of those things that makes you really question the Academy Awards and that they show favoritism to other specific stars in particular. But it's just like, it's a great role because it's against type. It's against a type that really is not what we expect from Jim Carrey. He's not overselling it like he's doing in something like The Number 23 or in The Majestic, but he's actually playing a character. It's a great character in here. It's a great movie in general. It's a movie that I'm so glad has gotten the respect that it has deserved over the years, but man, it's an amazing movie. I can't recommend this one enough. I can't even really say too much more about it. It hasn't already been said already. Like, clearly, if you haven't seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, you need to get off your ass and go see it because it's one of the greatest movies of all time. It's an amazing film, a visual splendor to look at, great performances, great writing, great direction, great music, great everything. Just, I love this movie to death. I would die for this movie pretty much. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm turning into Riley's in-dream boyfriend from Inside Out. I would die from this movie. Yeah, I don't know, but I do know that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a great movie.
What's the toughest thing about being a superhero? Trying to live a normal life. Whether it's pumping up. Dinner with the family.
Hey, no force field! You sit down! You sit down!
Or seeing old friends.
Hey, Lucian!
Hey, Speedo!
You are one distracted guy. I know you miss being a hero and your job is frustrating. I just want you to know how much it means to me. But you stay at it anyway.
Honey?
Hello, Mr. Incredible.
About the job.
We know who you are.
Something's happened.
We have a new assignment for you. What?
Showtime.
The supers aren't gone. You can still do great things.
Leave the second of the world to the men?
Connie, where's my super suit?
Why do you need to know? I don't think so.
Your suit can stretch as far as you can and still retain its shape. Virtually indestructible. Machine washable, darling. That's a new feature.
Superheroes. What can happen?
Oh, my back!
Still a better representation in the Fantastic Four than the 3 Fantastic Four movies they made. But you know, Marvel Studios can change it around next year, so we're counting on you, Marvel. But this is honestly the Fantastic Four, except it's animated and has nothing to do with the actual superheroes. Because, I mean, it literally is a movie that's literally the Fantastic Four, but not really. Obviously, from the plot, from the premise, the trailer, you can see that it follows a family of superheroes who are forced to hide their powers and live a quiet suburban life. Mr. Incredible, played by Craig T. Nelson's desire to help people, draws the entire family into a battle with a villain, played by Jason Lee, and his killer robot. And really, there's not much more I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said. I mean, this is a smart, well-crafted animated superhero from Brad Bird, who, of course, is a phenomenal director. He's made a ton of great movies, and, yeah, he's just... What more do you got to say about his work? I mean, the guy is a freaking genius, and continues to be a freaking genius even to this very day. I mean, leave it to someone like him, who's already had a great animated masterpiece with The Iron Giant, to make one of Pixar's defining films, one of their greatest movies in general. A great voice cast that includes the aforementioned Nelson, Holly Hunter, Jason Lee, Samuel L. Jackson. Spectacular. Great animation all around. I love the way that the film uses 2D animation to create CG animation, which gives it a more realistic flow. Something that really a lot of the animated movies nowadays are starting to take notice of. We started seeing it with stuff like the Peanuts movie, and then the Lego movie, of course, Spider-Man Across the Universe, those movies, like Spider-Verse, but yeah, this is one of the movies that really took that to the next level and really showed what CG, that you could still do 2D animation within a CG animated film, and this is one of the best examples of it. A lot of good comedy, a lot of good dramatic moments, perfectly balanced in a very unique way. I mean, if anyone wants to ever tell you that you can never feel anything for animated characters, show them this movie. Show them the way that these characters act whenever somebody that they know is in danger or they think they're dead. This movie does drama really, really well. The action is also great too, using all the capabilities what can be done with animation, and it's with already, like I said, great animation to a T. And what more I got to say about that score? Michael Giacchino. I mean, this is a great score from him, and it was a tipping point for not just Pixar, but for Brad Bird showing what a meaningful and masterful storyteller he could be. Because The Iron Giant was just scratching the surface. This is a movie that really shows his true potential as a filmmaker in general, and I think it works very well here. It's still one of Pixar's greatest achievements as a studio, and it continued into the sequel too, but we'll have to wait a little bit for that one. But yeah, this is a great, great movie, and it was, of course, a monster hit, and eventually led to many, many things coming from Disney and Pixar. And believe it or not, this was actually one of the movies where Disney started to realize, because keep in mind, Pixar and Disney were not merged together at this point. Pixar was still an independent company releasing their movies through Disney, and one of the big things with what was going on at the time was that there was contract negotiations, and Michael Eisner, who was the head of Disney at the time, had to essentially table those negotiations to a point where Pixar was pretty much free to go to whatever studio they wanted to. And not but a year later, when Hong Kong Disneyland opened up, and Eisner, as well as the new CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, at the time, they were watching the parade and realized that they were realizing that people were more receptive to the Pixar characters than they were to the Disney characters, and thus that led Bob Iger to eventually reopen negotiation talks with Pixar, and the rest is history. That following year, Disney and Pixar became one. John Lasseter became the head of the Disney Animated Studios, and essentially began the third renaissance of the Disney Animation Studios. And we had the second one in the 1980s and 90s, and now we have the third one coming up here. But yeah, if you saw this movie in a theater, you might have noticed that Cars was supposed to be released 1 year from now, from that point in time. But, of course, because of those negotiations, they had to delay the film to the summer of 2006. And, so yeah, a little bit of history there. But we'll certainly delve more into that when we get to the movie that eventually replaced Cars for that release date, Chicken Little, because that was the movie where Disney basically had to say, okay, we need help badly, but we're still about a full year away from getting to that movie in particular. But The Incredibles, not much more to say about this movie. It's a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it already, get off your ass and see it, man. Now, unfortunately, I can't show the full trailer because the song There's Beauty in the Breakdown is playing through the majority of it, but I recommend checking out that full trailer because it's an amazing trailer. It got me really excited to see the movie, where you have Zach Braff here playing a 26-year-old actor-waiter who returns to his hometown in New Jersey after his mother dies. And Braff based the film off of his own real-life experiences. This was his directorial debut after the years he had been on Scrubs. This was when his career was starting to begin to take off as in the world of film. Because the following year he'd be in Chicken Little, he'd do The Last Kiss after that, and needless to say, this film unfortunately doesn't. This film's a great movie, but unfortunately after that, there was a long period of time where he really did not do anything of noteworthiness in terms of his film career, and it's a shame because the movie really is fantastic. Like I said before, this was a movie that for the longest time was in my top 30 favorite films of all time, before films like the Lego Movie and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse took this movie out of it. But it's a movie I always remember seeing the first trailers and just like, what is this movie that I'm seeing here? And when I finally got around to seeing it, I'm so glad that I did, because it just is a fantastically put together film. A great, solid romantic dramedy that benefits from this great ensemble that includes Braff, Natalie Portman, Peter Skarsgård, Ian Holm. It shows off the potential for what he could do as a writer and director that, unfortunately, like I said, never really took off after that. I mean, his film career in general really didn't take off. And, when he finally returned to direct a movie, Wish You Were Here, which actually came out 10 years after this movie did, I was so excited to see it because I had seen what he'd done with Garden State, and unfortunately he just never really could live up to that hype that he had with this movie, because what he did with this was just really groundbreaking. It's a visual wonder to look at. You also have a great... the cast also includes people like Gene Smart, Jackie Hoffman, Method Man, Ron Liebman, Dennis O'Hare, Jim Parsons, Ann Dowd, Armando Riesco. Just a fantastic, fantastic cast in general. A visual style that is just so incredibly well put together, as this very unique style of... He has this very unique style of handling this film in general. It's just a really good movie, a really fun, entertaining film that showcases what Zach Braff's capabilities of as a director could be at that time. When the movie came out, it was actually interesting that Natalie Portman's character, who I thought was really good, was seen as kind of the manic pixie dream girl trope. Now, if you don't know what that is, I didn't know what it is until I actually looked the movie up a long time ago when I was writing my written review for this. The whole idea is that it's a stock character type in fiction, usually depicted as a young woman with eccentric personality quirks who serves as the romantic interest for male protagonists, which, I mean, isn't that what most romantic comedy characters are? Females are in the case of this. I mean, they see it as like a trope, but I mean, I never really had a problem with it in general. And some say it's like they criticize it as like one-dimensional, existing only to provide emotional support to the protagonist or to teach him important life lessons while receiving nothing in return. And some people might think that, but honestly, it never really bothered me because, like I said, that's what pretty much most romantic comedy female characters are in that case. I mean, they're there to be the emotional support to the main character, like give them a reason to go on this journey, and I really had no problem with it whatsoever. I thought Natalie Portman was very good in the film. She and Zach Braff have a lot of great chemistry together, and it really does show in this film. I mean, I think it's a wonderfully, wonderfully made film that really is very well done. It's a movie that may seem too much for people who expect more. It can be a little pretentious at times, but honestly, I thought it did it in more than just enough to really, really get me to really enjoy it as much as I did. I really thought that this was going to be something, when I first saw the trailers, I thought this was going to be something really, really good, and it really blew the expectations that I had for it going into it. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed it the first time around, and how much the film would have an impact on me in terms of how I look in films in general. This was really my first independent film I really sought out to see, because this was, again, around the time when I was going to see movies on my own, and the chance to see this movie for the first time when it was coming out, and really giving me a chance to explore my output in terms of what kind of films I would like. I really found myself really enjoying this film. I think it's a really fantastic film, a visual wonder, great music, a great cast, just a great story to tell, a nice coming-of-age story. I can't recommend this one enough. Garden State is a film that I really do like a lot. Like I said, I can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed by it.
From the producer of The Fast and the Furious, CLIPLESS, producing Fast 2 Furious, and SWAT.
You're messing with my good nature.
You're in my way.
Thor, rated PG-13, starts Friday, January 16th.
Just when you thought Biker Boys was bad enough, here's another Fast and Furious clone, and made by the same people who made The Fast and the Furious, and apparently they're self-hating because there's a lot of negativity against The Fast and the Furious in this movie. It's like the producer of this movie hated making the Fast and Furious movies and thought, you know what, I'm going to add my negative opinions on those movies in this. And somehow it makes the movie even worse than it has any right to be, because this is The Fast and the Furious done horribly wrong. You have a biker, played by Martin Henderson from The Ring, and how he discovers some motorcycles filled with crystal meth. He stows them away, but it turns out this villainous gangster, played by Matt Schultz, has plans to recover the drugs that James frames Ford for the murder of Junior, Frederick Starr, the brother of Trey, played by Ice Cube, who heads the Reapers. An notoriously malicious biker gang, Ford goes on the run and attempt to clear his name, while the FBI and multiple groups of motorcycle-mounted marauders chase after him. And God, this movie is a mess. I mean, this is a film that's so badly paced. The action in here is not that great. There are scenes in this movie that are so stupid and put together, and you could just tell that this whole movie has stuff in here that would never happen in real life. Like, there's a scene where they go have a motorcycle race in the middle of the desert, and you have all these people who are like Fast and Furious extras out in the desert barbecuing. Like, why would you go all the way out to the desert for that? Like, and who's barbecuing during the daytime in the desert? Like, can you imagine how hot it was that day when they decided to do this? But it gets even stupider from there, because there's bad dialogue in here. The action sequences are so over the top and ridiculous. There's too many T&A moments. Like, there's a scene where a woman is walking around the city, and then these motorcycles go through, and they're apparently so fast that they can blow this woman's sundress all the way up, and she's wearing like skipping lingerie. It's just like, you're a hooker at this point. Like you could pretend like you're doing that because you feel like you should, if you're not a prostitute or anything like that. That woman was going out to do some shady shit. I'm sorry. It's just like this movie is so poorly put together that, like, Biker Boys. But here's the thing with Biker Boys was just bad for its own reasons. It was a film that was so blandly put together. Obviously was trying to knock out Fast and the Furious, but the beautiful thing about Torque is that it's beautifully horrible. Like, this is the definition of a so bad it's good type of movie. You look at this movie and you're just like, oh my god, what the hell were they thinking when they made this? And, like, you could tell that nobody in this movie gave a crap about what they were trying to do in terms of telling a story. They just wanted you to have a good time for how silly it is. They put it on in January, for God's sake. I mean, it should tell you right there how they feel about this movie. This is a bad film, but it's a so bad it's good type of film. It's the type of film that you look at and you think to yourself, wow, this is the perfect definition of a guilty pleasure film, because it is such a mess on the direction, the writing, the storytelling, the acting, the action sequences, everything, the sense in this movie. It just doesn't work here at all, and I love it for that. I love how stupid this movie is, and I gotta give it credit for being as stupid as it is. What more can I say, man? Torque is one of those guilty pleasure films. It's a terrible film, but I love every single moment of it.
Keep it quiet, Scoob.
When danger lurks, they are there. When terror looms, they're still there. When monsters appear, they're out of there. Look, Doo's back. Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed.
Are you guys okay?
Uh-oh, Shaggy and Scooby fucked up Matthew Lillard because, man, actually, I take that back. To the film's credit, he does have probably the best line in the whole movie, which perfectly represents the movie itself. You know, there's a part of the movie where he finally loses it and yells at Scooby, like, "You're pushing your luck, Scoob," and it does not sound like Shaggy whatsoever. It literally sounds like Matthew Lillard going, "You're pushing your luck," like, it's him literally talking in his real voice, and I mean, and also give Matthew a little credit because he eventually did become the permanent voice of Shaggy, and he has so far made that character his own since then. Just, it's these movies, man. Like, the casting overall is not bad. It's just everything else about this movie, from the bad writing, the bad direction. You almost forget that this was written by James Gunn, and in fact, they were hoping that this was going to be successful enough to have a third film in which James Gunn would be the writer and director of it, which, knowing what we know now, probably would have been awesome. But then again, we have this movie here, and it's about as standard of a sequel as you could possibly get. So you have, of course, the Mystery Machine Gang. Is that the Scooby Gang, pretty much? I was going to say that. I thought they had a permanent name, but the Scooby Gang, they like to solve mysteries and have to face the past as multiple enemies from their past show up and begin wreaking havoc all over the city. They have to find a useful way to defeat and put a stop to their past enemies once and for all, which is about as formulaic of a premise as you could possibly get in a film that really, none of the villains in this movie are that threatening. I mean, the first movie had at least a threatening force behind it. I mean, yeah, it wasn't a great movie, but they were at least trying in that movie. This feels like a movie that's so lazily put together, and you would swear, like, you have to be a Scooby-Doo fan to really know that none of the monsters in this movie even come close to who they've actually faced in the real world, in the animated series. And even the guy who's behind it all is not really that threatening whatsoever. I mean, whenever he shows up, he just comes up, he just is like in the background going like, "Mystery Incorporated," like he's talking like Taye Diggs in Equilibrium when he thinks that he's got Christian Bale locked down. Like, he's so over the top, just like, that's what this villain is. It's just like, "Mystery Incorporated, look at what I just did." Okay, I'm off now. And he just disappears afterwards. And it's just like, what's the point of this? Like, what is the point of all of this? Like, you could say that for the whole movie. What is the point of this? You know what the point is? Money. The first film made a ton of money. They couldn't even wait until the summer to get this out there because they knew that something like Garfield or what was the big Shrek 2 was gonna beat its ass to the ground. So they said, "Fuck it, let's just put it out in March and hope for the best." And no, even the people that liked the first Scooby-Doo movie looked at this and went, "Okay, no, this is even worse than we could have possibly imagined." Like, the jokes make no sense whatsoever. There are cameos in here that are absolutely pointless. Ruben Studdard has a cameo because he just won the American Idol competition the year before. The Tasmanian Devil shows up for no particular reason. You get Shaggy with boobs if you've ever had that weird fetish of ever wanting to fuck Shaggy, but I know I certainly haven't, but I'm sure there's someone out there that probably would think that, but I don't know, man. Like, this is one where it's just like, you could just tell they weren't trying whatsoever. Even that trailer I just showed you pales in comparison to the awesomeness of the teaser from the first Scooby-Doo movie. The one that actually made you think that this was actually a Batman movie. But no, this is from the very beginning of the trailer, you could just tell zero fucks were given whatsoever, and they just were waiting for the money to pour in, which at first made money, and it was profitable, but even Warner Brothers looked at this and said, no, we can't do this anymore, man. Like, this is really pushing our luck. But, hey, Roger Gosnell, stick around here, because you'll get a chance to talk of another Hanna-Barbera property, which was the Smurfs. Okay, technically it wasn't a Hanna-Barbera property. It's originally from Peyo, but the show that we all know comes from Hanna-Barbera, so I guess it kind of evens itself out. But no, just wait about 8 years, and then Roger Gosnell will fuck up another Hanna-Barbera property in the Smurfs. But yeah, this is just a film that, it's a shame because the cast overall is not bad. Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, Matthew Lillard, Linda Cardellini, they look like the characters from Scooby-Doo. They're just not really given a whole lot to do here. I guess the only other thing that's positive about the movie is that you get to see Linda Cardellini in spandex, which, win-win, sort of. I don't know. I'm trying to look for some positives here, people. It's bad when the movie is literally ending with a cheat code for a video game. The post-credits sequence is nothing but Scooby-Doo playing a Game Boy Advance, and they show a cheat code on there. That's the literal end of the movie. Like you wait for the end, waiting for something like a cliffhanger ending for the next movie, and nope, just a cheat code for a game that I guarantee you nobody ever played. I played Game Boy Advance a lot back in the day, and I'm sorry, I was not that person. I would have never played this game in my entire life, and just the casting overall in this is just completely wasted. Seth Green is wasted here. Alicia Silverstone, who hadn't made anything of noteworthiness after the double whammy of Batman and Robin and Excess Baggage. Peter Boyle, just a bad movie. Just a bad movie. And I guess you could say that Scoob's probably the best of the animated theatrical Scooby-Doo movies, but even then, that movie was not that great. But, just goes to show you the animation kicks the crap out of live action again. I guess we could throw that in there as well, but I've literally got enough of those at this point. I mean, I'm grasping at straws here to find anything else that hasn't been said already, but Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Connie and Carla were two small-town girls whose dream of stardom had taken them nowhere.
Could I get my drink?
Oh, sorry.
What's your problem? Why can't you just be normal?
I only have one life. I want it to be a happy one.
But they're about to find out how real professionals make a hit.
They've seen us! Don't let them get away!
Why are you taking all your stuff? We just suddenly realized we have to make a move for our career.
Now, they're on the run.
We gotta go someplace where they never look for us because there's no musical theater, no dinner theater, no culture at all. Los Angeles.
And in search of a place
They sound great. They're lip syncing.
where two wannabe stars can hide out
Are you crazy? We're women. No one needs to know that.
and still manage
Hi there.
to steal the show.
I'll be home at work.
Is he singing?
Nope. This was the beginning of the downfall for Nia Vardalos, who... Actually, you could make the argument that the My Big Fat Greek Life TV series was the beginning of the downfall, because she never had that success that the first My Big Fat Greek Wedding had 2 years prior to this. And this was one of those films where it's just like, she's never coming back after this. After accidentally witnessing a mafia hit in the Windy City, gal pals Connie and Carla, played by Nia Vardalos and Toni Collette, skip town for L.A., where they go way undercover as singers working the city's dinner theater circuit as drag queens. Now, it's not enough that they become big hits on the scene. Things get extra weird when Connie meets Jeff, a guy she'd like to be a woman with. And so, it's basically a lazier version of Victor Victoria, except doesn't have the comedy stylings of Blake Edwards or a great performance by Julie Andrews to save it. Instead, you've got Nia Vardalos and Toni Collette wasting their talents on a comedy that's not funny at all. Like, I purposefully stopped it at that scene in particular, because it's just like, if you even think that this movie has any kind of hope left to it, that scene right there should just tell you that no, you're not getting anything out of this movie. And this was the beginning of the downfall for Nia Vardalos. I mean, this was a film that she never found a way to cash in after My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Every single movie she tried to do after this was always a failure. She relegated herself to just very few special appearances in TV shows, and then when things went to, when she couldn't find. Let me rephrase that. When she couldn't find success elsewhere, that's what I was trying to say. When she couldn't find success elsewhere, what did she do? Went back to the thing that made her famous in the first place, with pointless sequels to My Big Fat Greek Wedding that were nowhere near as successful as the first movie, but she made them anyway because, hey, she's got to pay for her house somehow. I mean, like, I don't even want to say anything bad about her, but I'm sorry. These are the type of movies that make you never have a career after this. It's just like you're living off of something that you did the first time around, and you just cannot get away from that. And every time you try to do it, nobody wants to go see it because nobody wants to see you in a movie like this. And again, it could work if it was funny. It could work if there was something valuable to it. But this movie is so stupid and so pathetic. Like I said, there have been better drag movies that have been much funnier than this. You know, Victor Victoria, Tootsie, Mrs. Doubtfire, Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, Big Mama's House. I mean, these movies that are much, much funnier than anything from this pile of garbage. And this is a lazily put together movie that is not funny, not clever whatsoever. It is stupid. It's ridiculous. It is one of the worst movies it's one of the worst comedies I've ever seen. Just a terrible, terrible movie. What more do I gotta say, man? It's freaking Connie and Carla.
Have you ever been uncertain in a relationship?
Stacy.
Derek.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, ditto.
I really, really like him, Mom.
Don't commit yourself unless you are absolutely certain.
And though things seem great professionally,
Meet our new associate producer, Stacy Hoyt. Whatever.
there's still a few doubts at home.
Lulu? The Supermodel.
We dated a little. I told you that, didn't I?
Let me think. No.
Have you ever gone too far?
Bob, look, a box.
Be honest. Have you ever been tempted to
Look under the hood before you purchase the car.
Stacy, listen, I left my palm at home.
Huh?
Stacy was. Now, with the help of her co-workers,
Little black books, electronic footprints of where your man has been and with whom.
she'll research his past.
Hello, Lulu Fritz. We'd like you to come in tomorrow for an interview.
To be certain about their future.
So tell me about one of the early guys.
Oh, say, Derek.
It was completely about sex. Sex. I just used him for, I'd like to make an appointment with Dr. Keys, please. I've never been to a podiatrist before. She was a gynecologist. Comfy? Super. Thanks. Oh my God. There's so many. You could have a sister named Joyce who he French kisses and licks.
Oh, no.
You know, I probably should have seen that coming 20 years ago when I saw this movie. This was the film I was talking about where, for the most part, the movie isn't bad. It's when the movie comes to the big climax at the end, the twist ending that they have in here, which is, I'll get to it later on, but it will make you hate this movie. Even if you're liking it like I did, it will make you hate it when it's all said and done. Anyway, you have Brittany Murphy has an associate producer for a daytime talk show who's confounded by her boyfriend's unwillingness to talk about his previous relationships. He's played by Ron Livingston. Egged on by her co-worker, played by Holly Hunter, she decides to sneak a look at his personal digital organizer, scores the name and numbers of his exes, and sets up interviews with them, all in an effort to get closer to her man. The plan starts to unravel, however, when she becomes friends with one of the women involved. And, like I said, there's a lot of notable talent in this movie. Not just Brittany Murphy and Holly Hunter and Ron Livingston, but Kathy Bates, Stephen Tobolowsky, Juliana Nicholson, Rashida Jones, Josie Moran, Sharon Lawrence, Yvette Nicole Brown, Kevin Sussman, of course, from The Big Bang Theory. Who did he play? Stewart from The Big Bang Theory. He was also on Ugly Betty, too. I didn't know that. And Carly Simon has a cameo, too, which is funny because the trailer for this actually plays her song from Working Girl within the trailer, which I think this was trying to do so hard to try to copy that success in general. And like I said, for the most part, the movie isn't bad in general. It just really wasn't that funny in general. It's just kind of a film that's just very much one note and just feels like it's wasting a lot of its talent because there is a lot of really good talent in this movie. Like Brittany Murphy. I've talked about her long enough. I mean, I've seen her in movies where she can be really good as an actress. You know, Just Married, Uptown Girls, 8 Mile, the Happy Feet movies where first Happy Feet movie. I mean, she is a really good actress in general, but she did pick some really bad movies. This is probably one of the big ones where it's just like her career really started to kind of tank after this point. Like, Holly Hunter, I feel like deserves better than this. I mean, she won an Academy Award, for God's sake. So does Kathy Bates. And half these people in this movie. And like I said, the movie could just be a forgettable one-note film. But no. This movie can't do that, no. We have to take this movie to the next level of stupidity and ridiculousness. The film is perfectly fine until the third act of the film, the big climax where everything gets revealed. Like, Kathy Bates is the talk show host, and the producers basically push Brittany Murphy's character onto the stage, discovering that her investigations into Derek's past are the subject matter of the show, and that Holly Hunter basically orchestrated the whole thing and invited everybody on there, and it's nothing but watching Brittany Murphy be embarrassed in front of a national television audience. And they eventually break up. And then it's just like, hey, that's just this. And the way the movie does it's just like, that's just life. Like, you have to be. It's just like, I was furious when I saw this movie the first time. I just could not believe that they went to this low of a route to create an ending that is so mean-spirited and so unpleasant and so unfunny, that it just completely ruined anything that I found of worthiness before we got to that point. I mean, it's a bad ending. It's like what I said with Hope Floats. Like, there was a time when movies would do this, where they'd have these talk shows that are just be the focal point of the storyline here, and what's the appeal? Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't find the appeal of this. And in Hope Floats, it's supposed to drive the story along here, but this, it's just a stupid way to end the film by doing the same stupid romantic comedy tropes. It's not funny. It's not clever. It's not satirical. It just feels like a movie where everybody has betrayed this main character for the sake of creating entertainment, and it's just like it's baffling. It's absolutely baffling how bad this ending is. It really ruined any kind of enjoyment, anything I had that was seen as somewhat likable about this movie. Took it completely out the window, and I was just kind of like, fuck this movie, man. Like, this is a movie that I hated so much. I really do hate this movie so much, specifically for how it ended, what that whole thing was building up towards. Like, it's despicable how bad this ending is, and how just tasteless, how pointless it is, how just, it's a complete betrayal of everything that had been built up for it. All of her friends in this bit is that she had before this, no, all out the window. Like she was a pawn. She was a pawn in something, and it's not funny, it's not clever, it's not hilarious. It's just like, no, she's supposed to sit there and just take it all in because, that's just the way of business, and it's just like, no. It's stupidity, it's a terrible way to end your movie, and these people who wrote and directed this movie have never made anything of noteworthiness whatsoever. This director has done nothing of noteworthiness, and this is probably his biggest movie in general because he's got a major studio behind him, and guess what? Hasn't done anything of noteworthiness since then. Did one other movie that went straight to DVD. These writers have never done anything of importance since then. Melissa Carter and Melissa Bell, I'm sorry, I hate this ending. I hate this ending so much. It ruined any kind of sense of anything that I could have found that was at least tolerable about this movie, and just threw it completely out the window. And it was just like, it's just such an inexcusable way to end a movie. I mean, I hate these type of movies. I hate these type of films where you take something that could have worked and was just barely chugging along, and then this happens, and then that train was just immediately falling off the cliff and just crashing into the ravine. It's like in Back to the Future Part 3. The movie was just coasting along on the train, and then as soon as the DeLorean went back in time, and the third act comes up, the train goes up. That's when the train goes off the cliff and just explodes, and just there's nothing of value left to it afterwards. I mean, yeah, congratulations. You just wasted everybody's hour and a half by just doing that. It's just, I mean, it's just absolutely horrible. Like, it's amazing how much of a 360 turn this movie takes in just the last 30 minutes. It's, like, I really don't have any other words to say about it. Like, I feel like Madeline Kahn in the movie Clue, when she's like, I hated her so much, and she just kept going like flames on the side of my face, like she's so flabbergasted and so mad and just can't get the words out. That's how I feel about this whole movie in general. Like, it started off just barely chugging along, and then falls off the cliff after is in the final 30 minutes. everything that was of value beforehand is just gone at this point. This is absolutely one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's amazing this wasn't in my top 30 worst movies list, but I checked, and no, it's pretty much up there, but yeah, it's definitely one of the worst comedies I've ever seen, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Bar none, I absolutely hate this movie so much. Bar none.
Yep, I want my money back. The money that your friends stole from me. $160 million with interest. I'm not the only person in the world looking for Ocean's 11.
Huh. We need a job. We need a high-paying job.
Now we're too hot to work anywhere in this country.
Where are we going?
You're doing recon work on our anniversary?
Tez.
And you are Mr.
Miguel Diaz. What's your name?
Craig.
Greg. Let me ask you something. Do you have safe deposit boxes here?
It's not my nature to be mysterious, but I can't talk about it, and I can't talk about why. Ooh. I'd really like to play a more central role this time around.
Okay, I don't even understand what happened in there. What did I say?
The next time I see you, I'm arresting you.
That means a yes. Well, you better hear.
I want it all back.
Okay, because I have a whole network.
Get out of my car.
Thank you.
How you doing? You doing all right?
Oh, I feel great. For a dead man.
Okay, good.
Now, you told me that he called it Ocean 11. Now, who decided that?
That's a good point.
You're going to have to play a small role in this thing.
Small role. Who am I supposed to be?
Well,
what are we stealing?
What the hell was that? Yeah, I'm with Krusty the Clown there. What the hell was that? I don't think even the movie knows what it's trying to do here. I think that last line by George Clooney perfectly sums up this movie's entire existence. What are we stealing? What are we doing here again? Nothing about that trailer makes any sense whatsoever. But you know what? It's a perfect representation of the movie that we have here, because, man, talk about a bad sequel. This is one of those sequels that doesn't seem bad on paper, but when you really delve into what this movie is, when you watch it in general, you could just tell this was around that time. This was just one of those sequels that was only made because the first movie was a success, and we need to make another one. This was around that time when Warner Brothers did that with a number of their sequels to movies that were hits in the years past. Analyze that. The whole 10 Yards. We're going to have Miss Congeniality 2 in a couple of months. But, and this is another one here. This is definitely another one of those movies. So, because that trailer doesn't really give you an idea of what the hell is going on here, maybe the premise itself here can tell us. It's been 3 years since Danny Ocean and his crew, fronted by detail man Rusty Ryan, up-and-coming pickpocketer licensed Caldwell, explosives expert Bashir Tarr, and safecracker Frank Catton pulled off one of the most audacious and lucrative heists in history, robbing ruthless entrepreneur Terry Benedict of every dime store in his impenetrable Las Vegas vault. After splitting the $160 million take, each of the infamous Ocean's crew have tried to go straight, lay low, and live a legit life. But that's proven to be a challenge, much to the chagrin of Danny's wife, Tess, when somehow breaks rule number one and rats them out to Benedict. Going straight is no longer an option. He wants his $160 million back with interest or else, and the gang quickly discovers Benedict isn't the only person in the world looking for Ocean's 11. Plot still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. In fact, that's basically a perfect representation of the film itself. It was still a success. It only made about $60 million less than the first movie did, but then again, this movie was not that expensive to begin with as a whole. I mean, yeah, you got all these big stars in here, but the budget could not have been that big whatsoever on this movie. In fact, I'm going to check just to make sure. Maybe it's a little bit more than I thought, $110 million, but hey, it made $125 million, so at least it made its budget back. But when you look at this movie, everything that could go wrong with this movie could go wrong. This is often considered one of the worst sequels ever made. Entertainment Weekly called it one of the 25 worst sequels ever made. And even though Steven Soderbergh himself has said that it's his favorite of the three Oceans films, which, really, Steven? Really? And it really basically sums up the problems with the movie because it starts off way too slow. You got this uber-long scene with Brad Pitt and Catherine Zeta-Jones that really does not go anywhere except to introduce Zeta-Jones' character to the film, and not to mention the introductions to all the main cast in this movie is just dull and tedious. And again, the main plot of this movie does not really make a whole lot of sense either. Andy Garcia's character from the first movie wants the people who robbed him in the first movie to pay him back his $160 million plus interest that they stole from him. Okay, it's basically sequelitis. It's the same plot as the first movie, but okay, that's fine. And then it becomes a revenge plot over somebody else called the Night Fox, who has stolen the one thing that can't keep these guys out of jail. And, okay. And then Danny comes across the same thief, and he challenges Danny to steal a Fabergé egg, which... Are you sticking with this? Because I'm having a lot of trouble sticking with this. And then Danny's wife, Tess, gets involved by pretending to be, and I'm not even kidding about this, a pregnant Julia Roberts, which was only done solely because Roberts was pregnant in real life at the time, and the script had to be worked around that, and how can it get any stupider than this? Bruce Willis shows up. He gets involved in this somehow, and then by the end, they basically just pull a Deus Ex Machina where everything is fixed and everyone lives happily ever after. What the hell is even going on in this movie? I mean, really, there was no reason this movie should be this bad. You had 3 years in between movies to give us a good sequel. You had time on your side to make a movie that was maybe not as good as the original film, but was at least comparable, was at least entertaining. And they didn't even bother to do that at all. I have no idea what the hell this was. My only real guess with this movie is that Steven Soderbergh decided to just make a sequel without putting any effort into it, knowing he had the original cast back and letting them just improvise. Say whatever you want and don't even worry about making a plot out of it, and that's how we get a movie. And that's how it feels like when you watch this movie. And that's really the biggest problem with Ocean's 12. It's a movie that I think Warner Brothers gave Soderbergh way too much free control over, and it really hurts the film in the long run. It's a movie that is so terribly put together. It's unbelievable how bad this movie is. And it's amazing what happens after this, because this movie was still a success that Warner Brothers said, okay, we'll let you do another movie. And that's how we got the far better sequel, which was Ocean's 13, which had Al Pacino and Ellen Barkin joining in on the fun. And like I said, it's a much better movie. It's a much better written film. It made the story simple again. It made it fun again. It made it just as enjoyable as the first film was. There wasn't all these 80 billion plot holes that they were throwing in there like they did in 12. Scenes didn't made a whole lot more sense than it did in 12. It's kept in check, and overall, it never got too absurd for its own good. It's a proper way to end the series on a much better note, and was a much more enjoyable sequel in the Ocean's trilogy than this one was. And I have no idea what was going on in the mind of Soderbergh when he made this movie. And Steven Soderbergh, proven time and time again that he's a damn good director, and yeah. And this is one of those times when he got a little too big for his britches, and Warner Brothers gave him way too much creative control to work on this, and do whatever he wanted. And it basically went down as one of the biggest what the hell were you thinking moments in movie history. When you really look at the Ocean's movies, most of them are good. Like, Ocean's 11 is a great movie. Ocean's 13 is a pretty good sequel. I even liked Ocean's 8 with Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett. I thought that was a really good movie, but this is the black sheep of them all. This is the one that just doesn't work on any level, shape, or form. It's one of the worst sequels ever made. What more can you say, man? Ocean's 12 is a bad, bad movie.
When their daughter left town for the holidays, the Kranks made a bold decision. Let's skip Christmas.
Skip Christmas?
But in this neighborhood, a lot of neighbors are pretty upset. Christmas isn't just a tradition.
Time to put a frosty. Free frosty. We just want frosty.
It's an obsession.
The ham is live.
Tim Allen, Jamie Lee Curtis. Christmas with the Kranks. Rated PG. In theaters November.
It's also a cult. I'm not even kidding. The way that people act in this town about Christmas and how it's blasphemous if you don't celebrate it in this is just unbelievable. This is the ultimate definition of a white people problems movie. And this is coming from a white person. This is one of the most unbelievably bad movies ever made. this is a film that I said last time. Some people debate whether or not this is even worse than Surviving Christmas. And, honestly, Surviving Christmas is bad, but this might be even worse. And that's really saying a whole lot. In this, you have Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis, who play a couple who, essentially, they decide to skip Christmas one year since their daughter is away. Their daughter, played by Julia Gonzalo, she's going off to Peru for a assignment in the Peace Corps. And, they decide, let's skip Christmas, let's go to Hawaii. And, in any other sense, it would make a lot of sense. I mean, the family's not there together. They don't really want to celebrate the holiday in general, so go somewhere else. Take time for yourself. Not in this neighborhood. The neighbors really hate it, and they do whatever they can by any means necessary to force Christmas down on them so hard to the point where it's literally heading into stalker territory. This is like a neighborhood that run by Fox News or anchors. I mean, it's pretty much that. Like, it's pretty much on that level. Like, if you even say, don't even say Merry Christmas and say Happy Holidays, like, you would be surprised. I would guarantee you they pull War and Christmas crap on you. But don't worry, it gets even stupider from there, because their daughter, who flies to Peru on the Sunday following Thanksgiving, and now on Christmas Eve, is calling them saying, I'm gonna fly back home for Christmas, and let's make sure the party is there, and oh, by the way, I want you to meet my boyfriend, who I literally met a month ago, and we're gonna get married. That literally happens in this movie. But it gets even crazier from there, because now they have to scramble to get all the stuff together after literally alienating the whole town, which really, they're the ones that aren't the guilty party here. It's everyone else that keeps forcing their ideals on them about the fact that you can't skip Christmas, you blasphemer. But then when they need it the most, it's just like, hey, we don't know. Like, it's like, the movie is literally, we don't know. Just, are you entertained by it? Are you sitting in the chair? Have you not gotten out of your seat yet? We got your money already, so so thank you for that. But I'm just kind of rambling on you, but you get the point. This is a horrible movie. A horrible movie with a bizarre group of people involved in here. You've got Joe Roth, the head of Revolution Studios, who directed this movie. One of the 3 films he directed, including America's Sweethearts, which, and Freedomland, which was, meh. This is easily his worst film, though. But this is written by Chris Columbus, who gave us Home Alone, and, The Goonies, and Gremlins. And this is based off of a book by John Grisham, too. At what point did any of this, did you think that this was based off of a John Grisham book? Because I could tell you, I certainly never would have figured it out. No, it's actually based off of a book called Skipping Christmas, which is one of his rare comedic novels, and I guess somebody at Sony said, we got to make a movie off of this. John Grisham, hey, you got to make something Christmas related, because the money's going to keep coming in with reruns on television years down the road. I mean, it's one of the reasons why movies like Deck the Hall still gets played on television, or Surviving Christmas. Bad Christmas movies that have the power to stay on TV for numbers of years later, because hey, we have cable television and reruns all over the place. That's why movies like Love the Coopers still gets played on Freeform every holiday season. A movie that you didn't even know even existed until I mentioned it. But the movie is bad. Like, say what you will about the Santa Claus movies and how the quality got lower and lower with each passing film. Those movies are still much better than anything in this garbage, because as much as you hate the neighborhood for really just cramming their ideals down on these two people, the Kranks are just as bad as they are. I mean, like, not Jamie Lee Curtis in particular, but mostly Tim Allen, who's just playing essentially who Tim Allen is now, kind of an asshole. And like, yeah, Tim Allen may have done a lot of great things in his career, playing Buzz Lightyear, starring in Galaxy Quest, a lot of great movies, but you know what? The guy's kind of an asshole in real life too, and this is, I guess, the movie, perfect casting for him, I guess, but the movie just gets really stupid. I mean, this is just an unbelievably illy put together, badly made movie that tries so hard to ripen these cheap emotional moments out of you. Like, one of the characters ends up getting cancer, and they use that as a tactic for you to start crying and get tear, because this could be their last Christmas together. Just like, I don't give a crap. I don't care if it is Austin. I don't care if it is Austin. Is it Austin Pendleton? Like, I don't care if it is Austin Pendleton. No, it isn't Austin Pendleton. I'm sorry. Like, no, that's the no. I'm thinking of Emmett Walsh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Austin. I didn't mean to criticize you. Let's be honest. You're probably one of the best things about the movie, honestly. Even though you don't really have that much to do. But Emmett Walsh. I'm saying it like Emmett Walsh is a bad person. But he's not a bad person. It's just a poorly put together movie that just goes for the cheapest levels of comedy, the cheapest aspects of Christmas, and it puts this whole idea like, if you don't celebrate Christmas like everybody else is, we're going to shun you and make you regret ever wanting to live on this planet. I mean, and those cheap emotional moments are so tacky and so corny. Like, in some ways you can agree with why Tim Allen is so frustrated, because my daughter decided out of the blue 12 hours ago to just call and say, I'm coming home for Christmas. Make sure you have all the shit I want. And we have to scramble for this. Like, yeah, it makes for cheap comedy hijinks. And yeah, he's acting like an asshole about it. But you know what? You tend to agree with him because you literally just pull this rabbit out of your hat at the 11th hour. And like, the movie's just like, no, he's the bad guy. You're supposed to feel bad for. You're supposed to not feel bad for this guy. You're not supposed to feel good about this guy whatsoever. It's just like, no. Like, I understand where he's coming from. Yeah, he's naturally going to learn a lesson, and he should be upset too. Like, the fact that he had to do this over half a day. He has to go find a tree. She has to go find the hand that she wants. You know, they have to find all the decorations they, I guess, destroyed. The plot continuity makes no sense in this, but no, it gets even the side characters are badly written too. Dan Aykroyd, this is just one of his bad movies. Eric Sullivan, who plays his son, Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle, he comes off in the beginning as this, slick, smart ass kid, and he thinks he knows everything. But then when a criminal is caught by the two police officers played by Cheech Marin and Jake Busey, he's too stupid to figure out that the criminal is playing a con on him, and just lets him go inside of the Kranks' house and start stealing shit. Like, that's a plot point that goes nowhere. Austin Pendleton, like I mentioned before, he's this random guy who's like an umbrella salesman who somehow knows everybody, and it actually turns out to be Santa Claus. This is a plot point that comes in 20 minutes before the movie is over. 20 to 30 minutes before the movie is over, I should say. But still, like, it's frustrating for me to even think about how bad this movie is. And as bad as Surviving Christmas is, like, Surviving Christmas is a bad movie. But again, you kind of agree with what they're trying to say in that movie. Like what James Gandolfini's family is feeling. Like, this random guy decides to come to our house, plans to burn the house down at first, and then makes it look like he's about to burn the house down, and then he decides, I'll pay you $50,000 to let me stay here for Christmas. I mean, there's at least more likability in the characters of Surviving Christmas than there is in this. And the more I think about it, I think I said at the beginning, Surviving Christmas was worse than Christmas with the Kranks. It really does go back and forth, because Surviving Christmas is a bad movie, but this is just inexplicably awful. This whole movie, the whole idea is, like, nothing about this movie is about what the spirit of Christmas is. It's like another bad Christmas movie we'll eventually get to with Deck the Halls, which is a movie that is basically telling you the true spirit of Christmas isn't about family, friends, good company all around. No. It's about getting your house seen from space, because clearly when you have Christmas lights out there, everybody's house can be seen from space. I mean, who doesn't want that? Trust me, we're going to get into that abomination in about 2 years' time, but 2 years from where we're at right now. But I think I made my point here. I'm going on 10 minutes talking about how bad this movie is. Like, do I even have to say any more? Christmas with the Kranks. If it's not worse than Surviving Christmas, it's definitely one of the worst Christmas movies ever made. Plain and simple.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
We got the same Christmas tree. Tom, you take the lead? Would it make any difference to you if I didn't want to? Not really.
Oh, Christmas tree, you stand in woodland beauty.
It's the most wonderful time.
Oh, facial ice ball!
I can't feel my toes.
Jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
I think Tony Soprano is pretty much everybody who sees this movie and sees how terrible Ben Affleck is. You want to hit him on the head too and wish that he was dead. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is that movie. This is the worst thing, the bottom of the barrel that Ben Affleck has ever done. Geely was one of those movies where, yeah, it was seen as one of the film that killed Ben Affleck's career, but he was at least trying in that movie to try to save it. But this is the bottom of the barrel. So he plays a wealthy Chicago ad executive who has long avoided the family traditions of Christmas, but has been dreaded being alone on the actual day. So when his tropical Christmas vacation with his girlfriend, played by Jennifer Goodwin, falls through and Missy breaks up with him in the process, a self-therapy session leads Drew to decide to relive his best childhood Christmases. With his loved ones long gone, he decides to rent a family with the Valcos, the current owners of his childhood home in suburban Chicago. Tom Valco, played by Gandolfini, wants nothing to do with Drew until an exorbitant amount of money is involved. I think it's $50,000 or something like that. They draw up a contract which expires at the end of Christmas night, but Drew doesn't or refuses to realize that the Valcos are having their own problems with his presence exasperated. Can the Valcos endure their unexpected guests? If they can, will the money solve their problems? Meanwhile, will Drew come to realize what he wants in life and how to achieve them? And why the hell is this movie? And the biggest question of all, why the hell is this movie being released 2 weeks before Halloween? That's something I never got with this particular movie. This is apparently a movie that was in production all the way back in May of 2001. In May of 2001, Ben Affleck agreed to star in this movie when it was at Columbia Pictures. And then it shifted over to DreamWorks. Christmas movies like this don't usually take that much time to do, unless it's like a high-concept movie, like if it's the Santa Claus or Fred Claus, or, you know, these bigger budgeted movies. But does anything in this movie look big budget to you? No. Why is Ben Affleck being involved in this movie? This movie doesn't feel like a film that Ben Affleck should even be involved in with his rapport at that point. He's an Academy Award-winning actor and writer. He's written written Oscar-caliber stuff here. Like, this is a role that should not have gone to Ben Affleck in the beginning. This should have gone to like a more comedic actor, somebody like who's a popular actor at the time. Somebody maybe like I don't know, a Ray Romano, or, you know, maybe someone from Friends, maybe a Matt LeBlanc, maybe a Matthew Perry, you know, like who, hell, a David Hyde Pierce or Kelsey Grammer, you know, people who were popular in sitcoms at the time. Kevin James probably could have made this work better, because he was on The King of Queens. You know, Mike O'Malley from Yesteryear, Charlie Sheen, John Cryer. I'm just naming all these better people that could be involved in this movie, because Ben Affleck should not be in this role at all. This movie fails mostly because of him just having such a panic attack of a performance in this. Like, nothing about what this character does in this movie is sane. Nothing about what this character does makes any sense whatsoever. Yeah, you want to go back to where you spent your best times as a child, but you have to realize that you're interrupting a major family holiday, yeah, you get behind the family because, yeah, this guy randomly shows up, and the first thing that he does, by the way, which that trailer does not show you, as soon as Ben Affleck gets to the house, you know what he does first? He takes the piece of paper, because this is what his therapist, played by Stephen Root, tells him to do. Go to his childhood home, take a piece of paper, set it on fire, and say, "I forgive you." Now, from the backside, if you're looking at the point of view of James Gandolfini and Catherine O'Hara, yeah, this looks like somebody who's literally about to burn your house down. So, in the trailer, it makes it seem like that James Gandolfini's an asshole. No, James Gandolfini's doing what he should have done in the first place, and knocking the shit out of the guy who's about to burn his house down. By the way, it was $250,000, not $500,000. I'm reading it off of the synopsis here. But if those problems weren't enough, you realize that there was somebody else in that trailer that wasn't really given a whole lot of attention, except you see her in the far right in the beginning of the trailer. Yeah, Christina Applegate is in this movie, and you would have never figured it out because she doesn't show up until about 40-45 minutes in the movie. When I saw this movie in a theater, which, yes, me and my sister saw this in the theater on opening weekend because, you know, why not? I mean, this is one of those rare occurrences where like, the whole thing makes no sense whatsoever. We had no idea that Christina Applegate was in this fucking movie until we saw the movie. That's how bad this movie is, when you have somebody who was just in one of the biggest comedy hits of the year with Anchorman, and it barely mentions her, except on the poster for the movie. Like, the poster literally has her name in there, and yet she's nowhere to be found in the trailer, maybe because she realized, oh, this is a terrible movie, and I want nothing to do with it. And quite frankly, I can't imagine why anyone would want to be involved with it. Like, but let's get to the crux of the problems with the movie. The release date. Why are they releasing this 2 weeks before Halloween? In the history of the box office, what movie has opened a Christmas movie before Halloween and has found success with it? Never. It has never happened because studios realize, the marketing department realizes that, oh wait, if we put a Christmas movie before Halloween, it won't make money over the course of the holiday season. Not DreamWorks, because, because I'm willing to bet you what DreamWorks probably thought when they bought this movie? They were going to have it be like a 2003 holiday release, and then they finally saw the movie, and it's just like, oh, fuck no, we're not putting this out there. But instead of putting it out in the dumping months of January, which would make more sense, or if you want to even go down that right, do something like Christmas in July. Slam it in the middle of the big summer blockbusters and say, hey, we put it in the middle of summer blockbusters. But, no. Somebody at DreamWorks had the bright idea to say, Christmas is starting to become, we're starting to see Christmas coming into stores in the months of September, October. Why don't we go ahead and put this movie out 2 weeks before Halloween? Because, it's a genius idea when you think about it, says the DreamWorks marketing executive. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, David Geffen, they all looked at that guy and told him to get the fuck out of here after they did this because, yeah, not a shocker. The movie didn't do very well. It was in theaters for 2 weeks. It was literally out of theaters before Thanksgiving. So yeah, that was a mistake right from the get-go. And the film cost $45 million to make. Only brought back $11 million domestically. That's how horrible this movie was. That this movie was, and that's not even the worst part about it, because the funny thing about this movie in particular is that the fact that this movie did so poorly and was such a huge flop that, around this time, I should explain something here, because back in 2004, when it comes to new releases on physical media like DVD or VHS, you would usually wait about 4 to 6 months. It depends on how successful the movie was. Like, I think Shrek 2 came out in May of 2004 and didn't get a DVD release until November. Dodgeball didn't get a release on DVD until December, and even though the movie came out in June, sometimes they'll do it early on. Like back in the nowadays, you can kind of figure whenever a movie comes out, I think maybe 2-3 months after it comes out, and then they put it out on Blu-ray. Not back then. Usually it was 4 to 6 months, and then the time. Sometimes like Universal, sometimes they'll put a movie out on DVD and Blu-ray 2 months after the movie came out. We just had that recently with The Fall Guy. But I bring this up because Surviving Christmas is one of those moments in history where, yeah, DreamWorks. You might not think DreamWorks is one of the big studios in general, but you've got to. I would think it's a big studio in general. So them to release a movie with a wide release like this, they released this movie not even 2 months after the movie came out in theaters. It was on DVD on December 21st, 2004. And if you want proof of that, here's the DVD. This is the original DVD release from December 21st, 2004. And I have the proof that this is indeed the date, because if you look inside of here, that's my original Walmart receipt, and look at the date on the bottom there. December 21st, 2004. I bought this because I couldn't believe that somebody had the nerve and the audacity to put this movie out on DVD less than 2 months after the movie came out in theaters. Now, for a Christmas movie in particular, usually they wait until the next Christmas season because they usually don't make money after they come out in theaters. Nowadays, they've kind of scrapped that altogether and just put it out after a couple months because we had that with the Grinch recently. But in the same year, Polar Express and Christmas at the Kranks came out in theaters. They waited a full year for the DVD releases of both of those movies. Not this little abomination, not this horrible piece of garbage right here. Yeah. And yes, I spent $20 on the DVD for this because at the time I didn't think, at least, you know what, I just had to get it for the history. But it's funny because I bought the Blu-ray version of this when my FYE was closing down. I only spent about 77. It was less than $1 for a new Blu-ray. So, but yeah, I hold on to this as a part of history because this is one of the first times a major studio, DreamWorks Entertainment, decided the movie was so terrible and so poorly mismarketed, they decided to throw this movie into theaters 2 weeks before Halloween, and then had the balls to put this out on DVD less than 2 months later. Let's put this into perspective here. Anchorman, which came out in July of 2004, which also starred Christina Applegate, had yet to be released on DVD at this point. Anchorman, I think, came out a week later after Christmas came out. That's how badly they screwed this whole thing up. Yeah, so if that is not enough to make you say, wow, this movie is terrible, the movie is terrible on a number of different levels. You hate Ben Affleck, you hate him for everything he does in the movie. You want to feel more for the family in this situation, but then the family ends up being scumbags too, and like everybody in this movie is just a dick. This movie just has this uncomfortable, dark sense of feeling to it. And if it was a black comedy, I think it could. If they had already said at the beginning, yeah, it's going to be that kind of a black comedy and marketed that way, then we probably could have accepted it more. But no, that trailer was way too happy. The trailer after that was also way too happy and peppy. So yeah, they completely lied to you on that front too. This is the bottom of the barrel for Ben Affleck. This is the movie where I think he realized, after this movie came out and it flopped as badly as it did, he realized, I have to change my career. I have to figure out a way to get back in the zeitgeist again and not be this person ever again. And that's when his career started to take a rebound, because a couple years later, he would slowly but surely have that comeback, starting with that performance in Hollywoodland. And then 3 years later, he would direct his first movie, Gone Baby Gone, which is a phenomenal film. He'd follow that up with The Town a couple years later, which was a great film. And then Argo was a great film, too, won the Best Picture. So, yeah, this is the low point before we get to the comeback story that is Ben Affleck. And, yeah, but this was the bottom of the barrel. This movie right here, this film right here, is the bottom of the barrel. Do you get it yet? You realize how bad this movie is? I think you get the point. So, yeah, I've already wasted 12 minutes of your time talking about this movie, which is more than I could say, which is probably more than anybody could really say about the movie in particular. But then again, if I had more time, I'd probably go into much greater detail about how terrible this movie is. But I've already wasted 12 minutes of your time here by doing this. Now we're heading to 13 minutes. So let's step away from the bad movie here.
Announcing the arrival of the first airline with soul.
Welcome aboard. Thank you for choosing the Soul plane.
From the time you arrive at the gate,
You doing good? Yeah. You feel wonderful.
till the moment you meet the crew,
Hey, Captain.
At ease, ladies.
we make sure you have an unforgettable flying experience.
Keep out this little safety video we put together for you. Sit tight and enjoy the flight.
Kevin Hart,
Mayday! Mayday!
Tom Arnold,
Oh, hey!
D.L. Hughley,
Damn!
Sorry. Well, I guess you can't have the lightning without the thunder.
Method Man, Monique, and Snoop Dogg.
What the hell's going on here?
Well, I'm afraid of heights.
This is wonderful. I love this freaky stuff like this.
This spring, the party is non-stop.
Oh, no, you can't use that phone while you're... Girl, please. No, they say that to rip you off.
Academy Award winner Monique, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, the greatest thing about this whole movie is the fact that this is a film that could have easily killed so many careers, and yet it actually helps some of these people out in general. But Soul Plane, this is another one of those movies that's in my list of the worst movies of all time, and quite frankly, it's kind of hard not to see why. I mean, we already had a year where we had the black equivalent to National Lampoon's Vacation. Now here's the black equivalent of Airplane. I guess you can pretty much tell what the plot of this movie is. Soul Plane. Why just fly when you can soar with soul? This is what MGM put out as the press synopsis for this movie, by the way. After a humiliating experience on an airplane, Nashawn Wade, played by Kevin Hart, sues the airline and is awarded a huge settlement. Determined to make good with the money, Nashawn creates the full-service airline of his dreams, complete with sexy stewardesses, funky music, a hot onboard dance club, and a bathroom attendant, played by D.L. Hughley. Departing from the all-new Terminal X in Los Angeles, a Soul Plane gives Fly a whole new meaning, taking its passengers on a maiden voyage full of comedy. Somebody at MGM greenlit this movie. MGM looked at this and said, this will totally sell. I mean, it will really sell. I mean, just everything about this movie is so wrong. And the fact that it's basically a black version of Airplane, but that it's also racist, not funny, and just downright stupid. Nothing about this movie makes any sense whatsoever. This is just an unspeakably awful movie on so many levels. It really does feel like a good majority of this movie was written by people who simply have seen the black stereotypes and decided, let's just make an entire movie just on that. Let's put the black terms in there. There's Tom Arnold's family, where they just come from a place called Crackerland because it's on their hat, and his daughter wants to date a black guy, wants to screw a black guy, and little things like this, and that's just the beginning, because it really just feels like a film that was made about people who do not give a fuck about how racist they can be, because they pull out all the stops in this movie, and it's just so offensively bad, it's despicable. And the only time anything Soul Plane gets involved in that actually does get a laugh really doesn't even happen in the movie. It's the fact that the Boondocks made a whole joke about it. The Boondocks consistently makes fun of Soul Plane to the point where they actually had to create a sequel within the movie that probably would have been a whole lot better than the actual movie was. That and Get Rich or Die Trying, considering that 50 Shades of Grey is involved in there. And of course, from one of my favorite TV episodes of all time, where Martin Luther King Jr., what if he didn't die? He saw what present day was like. He's making that speech at the end, and then all of a sudden, while he's speaking, it just cuts away to him going, and now I'd like to talk about Soul Plane. It's just like, you could tell how much the people who made the Boondocks really hated Soul Plane. And if an animated series is parodying a movie that's actually getting more laughs than the animated series in the actual movie, there's a huge, huge problem here. I mean, we just talked about Welcome to Mooseport. One of the is that joke in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That's the only way that movie's ever going to get relevancy ever again. But and like I said before, look at what happened to the cast of this movie. You would think that the careers for this movie would have been tarnished by everybody involved here. But Kevin Hart, he stars in the movie, and guess what happens? Does his career end? No. He actually goes on to become one of the biggest box office stars on the planet. He actually became more of a popular comedian after that, and he became such a reliable draw with films like Ride Along, Central Intelligence, the Jumanji movies. I mean, the guy, it's just one person, but then again, like I said, Monique, she was on a very popular UPN show at the time, The Parkers. Surely that destroyed her career, and then I just realized that she got an Oscar for Precious, and Sofia Vergara, you see her there as one of the stewardesses. She was a rising comedic actress in America, after 6 years in Spanish television. And then this comes out, and then she never went on to become anything big except for a prominent Emmy-nominated role on Modern Family 2. I mean, it's amazing how this movie could have easily destroyed so many careers, and yet it doesn't. In the long run, it really actually did quite the opposite, which is amazing to think about. When you think about movies that are on this level of disaster that could easily destroy a career easily. We were in the midst of this point when Ben Affleck's career pretty much got destroyed before he eventually made his comeback. It's just like, but the fact that people actually came back from this movie, had bigger careers than ever before, you really can't say anything else except hell. Holy shit, hell is frozen over. You can actually come back from one of the most offensively bad movies ever made. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Fire and brimstone, earthquakes, volcanoes, the dead rising from the grave, human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I think you got the point. But does that make Soul Plane any good? No. But do you think it does more good for the world than bad? You think any of these people or anybody in this movie would have still found success even if this was even after such a massive film on their part? We will never really know for sure, but it certainly is out of the realm of possibility. But I don't know. To me, I still think I think most people can agree Soul Plane is still an insult to cinema that really does treat black people poorly, treats good comedy poorly, it treats these actors poorly. It's a cheap joke that has no merit or value to it whatsoever. After it's all said and done, it's just a really bad movie. It's in my top 20 for the worst movies ever made. That should tell you everything you need to know about this film. But
Let's get this party started. Welcome to a world where the fish are friendly.
We can party like it's your birthday.
And even the biggest sharks have a sensitive side.
I'm a vegetarian.
You're a good person.
From the creators of Shrek, Will Smith, Jack Black, Renee Zellweger.
Somebody needs to get me out of the bubble.
Sharktale. This film got you rated. He's a joke.
So Sharktale was kind of a big deal back then because it was the first computer animated movie from DreamWorks after the Shrek movies. DreamWorks had not... They were establishing themselves as a competitor to Disney, but their really big successes were the Shrek movies at that point, even though stuff like Chicken Run was a success, but Spirit Stallion and Cimarron and Sinbad were both box office bombs, even though they were not bad movies in general, but after Shrek 2, they were moving straight into computer animated movies. So this was kind of a big gamble at the time, especially opening a movie in October, which back then was seen as a dead zone for family films in general, because obviously the kids are back in school. But the story here is that you have an underachieving fish named Oscar, played by Will Smith, who falsely claims to have killed the son of a shark mob boss, played by Robert De Niro, in an attempt to advance his community standing. Oscar teams up with the mobster's young son, played by Jack Black, to keep up the facade. And on paper, the movie doesn't look bad, but once you see the movie and see how badly animated it is, it takes it to a whole nother level. But you're probably wondering why I have such a personal hatred to this movie, because I really do not like this movie. This is very high up there with one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I'll get to that in just a second, because there's a lot to delve into with that front. But this is a movie that has a notable history to me. This is a movie that, when I saw it in theaters, I've talked about the story before. This is a movie that I actually broke my pinky finger watching the movie in a theater, and I've done a longer video talking about this as part of the Reviewing Network Live. If you want to go ahead and take a look at that, I'll leave the video for it up in the corner. But a short version, I saw the movie in theaters. I was going up to go to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden, my finger, I guess, it got caught in the railing, like in the thing that's holding the railing from the wall to where the railing is at. So I'm walking, and all of a sudden I trip, and then all of a sudden I didn't realize it at the beginning, but my pinky finger started to swell up, and it took me a while to realize that my finger was broken. This was like halfway through the movie when this happened. So I went to the rest of the movie thinking it wasn't a big deal. Left the movie theater, and then I realized that my mother realized, actually, because she was the one that had to come get me at that point, that my finger was broken. And luckily there was a quick little Med Express right across the street from the movie theater. They were able to take care of it pretty quickly, and they gave me a splint. So I spent the next couple of weeks with the splint on my pinky finger, waiting it to get better. And I've been lucky enough to have never gone to the emergency room for any big serious injuries, even though before this, 4 years prior, I did get a fishing hook caught in the back of my foot. But that's also in that longer video I was talking about. But yeah, so that's kind of why this movie has kind of a lasting memory to me, because this is a movie I literally broke my pinky finger on and didn't realize it until I got out of the theater. And luckily, as you can see, no problems whatsoever after 20 years. So yeah, it was a really, really odd situation that happened on that front. But yeah, so that's kind of why I've had a bad experience with this movie in particular. But not just because of what happened with my finger, but the movie itself is pretty bad. I mean, it's a lousy film. The animation overall is really terrible, considering this came from the same people that had just done the Shrek movies. For the animation to be as bad as it is here, it's awe-inspiring how bad the animation is. Not only that, the comedy isn't funny. The story is very generic on a number of different elements. It's just not a good movie whatsoever. It's a lousy film. It was criticized for using Italian-American stereotypes, which, yeah, they're all throughout the movie. The characters aren't memorable. The characters are all detestable. Even the characters you're supposed to like. Like, you're supposed to like Will Smith. You're supposed to like his girlfriend because she's supposed to be the voice of reason. But even she is not that good of a character. Angelina Jolie's character is completely wasted. I mean, she's nothing there but imagine Jessica Rabbit, except she didn't have any character or charisma to her whatsoever. That's this character in here. Like, she's straight up working for the bad guys because Oscar rubbed her the wrong way, I guess. That's literally all the reason why she's bothering to even be involved in this movie. But, you know, hey, luckily Jack Black and Angelina Jolie, who are both in this movie, would star in a much better DreamWorks movie about 4 years from now called Kung Fu Panda, which we'll get to that one eventually. But, yeah, the movie is bad. The pop culture references are really bad. Like, they aren't even trying. The movie literally begins with Katie Couric. You know, Katie Couric, get it? And then they do a whole thing where it's just like, Russell Crowfish, Jessica Shrimpson. Like, it's about as bad of a CG animated movie as you can get. I mean, it's the first real bad CG animated movie. Nothing about it works. It's not funny. It's not clever. The animation is terrible. The story is a mess. Not a good movie. Just not a good movie. And nothing of value to it whatsoever. It is high up there in my worst movies of all time list. Not just because of what happened with me in the theater, but just because the movie itself was just so terrible. I mean, it has not held up well in the 20 years since it's been released, unfortunately. So, yeah, I would say skip this one, but... So let's go ahead and take a look at the last movie that we have here, a movie that could have easily killed Halle Berry's career, but as you can see from today's tweets, she's probably taking it in stride. I mean, she really is literally taking it in strides today. But let's talk about Catwoman. Now, see, that trailer makes the movie look more awesome than it actually is, but, yeah, when I was doing the first December back in 2014, I was dreading the day I was actually going to have to watch this movie in full, because I did have the DVD when it came out. I was kind of suckered into, you know, I mean, who else would not be suckered into Halle Berry in spandex and cracking a whip and dressed up like a cat? I mean, what prepubescent 15-year-old boy wouldn't be in that situation? But, yeah, for the longest time, Catwoman was a movie that was floating around in development hell for a number of years, that had various people attached to it, ranging from Tim Burton, of course, Michelle Pfeiffer, who was Catwoman in Batman Returns. Ashley Judd was involved at one point, Nicole Kidman. And then it went to Halle Berry and a director called Pitoff, a French director who's best known for being a visual effects supervisor, because clearly that works so well. I mean, didn't you see how great it worked for the Strauss brothers when they made Alien vs. Predator? Which, by the way, this guy was a second-unit director on Alien Resurrection. We're already not in a good spot here. We haven't even gotten to the actual plot of the movie here. And the plot, it's a plot, all right. You can pretty much tell right away how bad this is going to be, but Catwoman is the story of shy, sensitive artist Patience Phillips, played by Halle Berry, and honestly, those words right there, I could just stop right now, because you can already see the problem with the movie right here, but for the sake of this, we'll continue on. A woman who can't seem to stop apologizing for her own existence. She works as a graphic designer for Hadari Beauty, a mammoth cosmetics company on the verge of releasing a revolutionary anti-aging product. When Patience inadvertently happens upon a dark secret her employer, played by Sharon Stone, is hiding, she finds herself in the middle of a corporate conspiracy. What happens next changes Patience forever. In a mysterious twist of fate, she is transformed into a woman with the strength, speed, and agility and ultimate keen senses of a cat. Again, I could stop at any time if I want to, but because this sounds so terrible, but let's continue on, because trust me, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And by that, I mean not better at all. With her newfound prowess and feline intuition, Patience becomes Catwoman, a sleek and stealthy creature balancing on the thin line between good and bad. Like any wildcat, she's dangerous, elusive, and untamed. Her adventures are complicated by a burgeoning relationship with Tom Lone. Have you had enough yet? I certainly have had enough yet. I mean, I could stop right there because this sounds like Stephanie Meyer garbage here, brought into a universe that shouldn't exist because Catwoman already exists in the Batman movies, but I digress. Tom Lone, played by Benjamin Bratt, is a cop who has fallen for Patience, but cannot shake his fascination with the mysterious Catwoman, who appears to be responsible for a string of crime sprees plaguing the city. Now, doesn't that sound nothing like Catwoman? I certainly hope so, because the writers of this movie clearly weren't aware they had 75 years of research material on this character and didn't do anything with it, because it's clear from this plot that this is nothing but made-up garbage that has nothing to do with Catwoman. You know how we have the Sony Spider-Man universe that technically started off not involving Spider-Man, you know, the Venom movies, you know, Morbius, Madam Web. Imagine that, but almost 20 years prior to that, and it's only contained to one movie instead of multiple movies that somehow keep getting worse and worse with every film. But I digress. I mean, it's not even the worst part of the movie, honestly. And where do you even start? Let's start with the names. Patience Phillips, Tom Lone. Tom Lone. Names that do not sound realistic by any means necessary. So why are they named these characters? Because, you know, we have Alex Borstein from Family Guy in here. She has to be the comic foil, and she's forced to make a really unfunny joke about his last name, only to have it end with her saying Bone. I mean, I swear to God. I mean, the scene in particular would make even Lois from Family Guy lose her mind here, because it's that bad of a scene. Like, it's forcing really bad comedy here, but they take the story of Catwoman and just destroy it. There is absolutely nothing that is relatable to the character of Catwoman from any of the movies or comics at all, from the origin of how Catwoman came to be, which the trailer doesn't show you how hilariously bad she gets axed off at the beginning, because, no, she doesn't get shot like in the trailer, no. She's standing in front of a pipeline with water, and she just falls right into the water, and the way it looks is just amazingly bad. It adds like a stupid split personality story to literally having Halle Berry sniffing catnip, like she's just sniffed pounds of cocaine, and those cat puns, man, they are just all over the goddamn place. And let's talk about the costume. Who thought that was a good idea? No mentally sound human will find this costume sexy at all. As much as they're trying their best. I mean, you got Halle Berry there, and even she can't make it look sexy. And I'm sorry, like, I love Halle Berry, man. I know this is going to be a bashing of her saying yes to this, but I will say some nice things about her by the end of this. I'm promising this. You're seeing my fingers crossed. I will say positive things about Halle Berry of this, because there are things about her in this movie that I will say that are positive. But getting back to the movie itself, every character in this movie is stupid. Tom Lone spends way too much time figuring out who Catwoman is. Like, she's just like Batman in every way, when clearly she isn't in this movie. Like, the villain is so stupid because her plan is not really evil. She lies to herself right in front of Catwoman. The last scene of the climax, she literally says that as long as you keep using her makeup, your face will not get destroyed. 2 minutes later, her face gets so screwed up, so clearly the makeup isn't any damn good. The biggest problem this movie has is that it's one of those movies that's aiming to empower females. And there have been movies where you can empower females and actually have a good movie out of them. And the first Alien. Look at what Ellen Ripley did in that movie. Look at what Sigourney Weaver's character did in that movie. I mean, like that's a movie that empowers females. The second Aliens movies. I mean, The Secret of NIMH is another great example. But here, One of the characters literally comes out and says that the reason nobody wants to listen to her is because of, and I quote, male academia. Somebody got paid to write this movie. Don't tell me that this is a movie that's supposed to feature a strong lead female character when you add a line like that into a movie. You know, at least with bad films like Red Sonja, Supergirl, Elektra, they were at least trying to provide good lead female characters, but they all had terrible scripts to work with. But this is just... it's awful. It's absolutely awful. And this makes Angelina Jolie in Tomb Raider seems like the most well-handled lead female character. That's how bad it is when Angelina Jolie's Lara Croft is a more likable character, a likable lead female character than anybody in this movie. I hate when movies say that we're going to show that females can be just as great as the lead male characters can. And then we get stuff like Sucker Punch in The Spirit, where they're just there to be glorified for their sexuality, and that's it. I said it back when I did my original review, I'll say it again. When an animated kids show like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic has better lead female characters who are written as stronger, independently written female characters who act like regular people most of the time, that's how you know how bad it is here. I mean, yeah, it's just... it's amazing that it's gotten to this point. I mean, I think I've honestly pretty much said everything I needed to say that's bad about this movie. It just sucks so hard. The movie itself, there's not one good thing about this movie, but I will give Halle Berry this. I don't think she's bad in the movie. Like, I know I said her character's pretty stupid in here, but she is committed to the role. And whether or not she realized at the end of it, which I'm pretty sure she realized after it was done, it was just like, she probably regrets doing this. But then again, there's somebody who has having a lot of fun with it. I mean, just today, like I showed you the tweets. I mean, right there, she's clearly having a ball with this. I mean, when she won the Razzie for this movie, you know what she did? She actually went up and accepted the award.
I've got so many people to thank because you don't win a Razzie without a lot of help from a lot of people. So please indulge me and just let me, go through this.
Like, yeah, she probably knows the movie is bad, but you know what? I give her a lot of credit for having a lot of fun with this whole idea. Yeah, I mean, it's like when Sandra Bullock won the Razzie for All About Steve. Yeah, she knew it was a bad movie, and she went there, because most people don't go to the Razzies to accept these awards, but you know what? She went there, she accepted her award, and, a day later, she was an Academy Award winner, too. I mean, Halle Berry's already got her Academy Award. She's made many, many movies since excuse me. Sorry, I burped there for a second, but she's made Halle Berry's made many, many movies after Catwoman that shows that this is still a really good actress. This was just a bad movie to star in. And she has starred in some bad movies since this, but, yeah. Like, it's not her fault the movie is bad. She is trying her hardest. I mean, it's not her fault the character is written badly. It's not her fault the movie is written badly. It's not her fault that this movie is what it is. It's just a really bad idea that just, it's just a terrible, terrible film. I mean, what more do I even need to say about this film that hasn't already been said already? There is one more thing I do need to say, though. Batman, for the love of God, come back, please. Can we please get to next summer when you have when your big return to the movie comes? Because, man, we miss you badly, man. We miss you really, really badly. So yeah, that's Catwoman for you.